title. It was like something like How to Raise Non-Conforming Kids in a Conforming World or something.
Oh, really cool.
Um, I feel really passionately that our kids are under too much pressure, and it's up to parents to, twist the release valve and decrease the pressure. And we, as Bitcoiners, reject the narrative that the dollar is stable, that the dollar is the future. Like, we reject these narratives. We also need to, not need to, I don't want to give someone advice, but I wish people would consider that the narrative of regular schooling isn't the only way, right? And I understand not everybody can homeschool. I didn't homeschool. I asked Ella to drop out of school basically her whole life. I was like, oh, hang out. Let's come, you should be homeschooled. We'd have so much fun. And Ella was like, Mom, we would not do anything. We would cook all day and we would take walks and I have to learn. And, it was this kind of running joke. But so she did go to regular school, which I almost got her kicked out of a couple of times because I was the parent that rejected all sorts of shit that they did with our kids. And, she went to an all-girls Catholic school and the nuns were, this is the way you do things. Your hair bow has to be dark green. It can't be lime green. I was like, the amount of stress that we put on our kids for things that do not matter must stop. Because what we're doing is we're filling their brains with, first of all, our schools tell kids how to think. They tell them what to think, not how to think. And so it's our job as parents to say, wait, what do you think of this? Right? Like, let's stop and think about what the prescribed. I use this example occasionally. Do you know what baking soda is? Like that you use to bake with? It comes in like a little yellow box here in the US.
Yes, I probably I know it, but I don't know the English word for it.
I need to have like a box of it on my desk because I do give this example. So in the US, the baking soda, when you add a teaspoon or half a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons, it helps activate when you're baking. Like you add it and it makes things rise. There's a chemical process I should probably get smarter on, but okay. Well, you don't use very much baking soda when you use it a half a teaspoon at a time, right? In a recipe. And so some marketing genius said, hey, let's tell people to throw it down their sink and it'll make their drain smell better in their kitchen. So you get the box of baking soda, it's 89 cents. You go to the store, you buy the 89-cent box, you rip the whole top off, you dump it down your drain, you add a little bit of water and you let it sit there, and then it reduces the odors. Okay, that was the marketing. Like, that is now taken as gospel, that works. It's like, guys, that was a marketing deal, right? Like some marketing guy realized they weren't selling enough and created a use case and now told us all that this is why we have to have it it makes our refrigerator smell better, it makes our drain smell better. Like, this was marketing. So I would say, like, with our kids, let's think about what we're actually asking them to believe. Is it even true? And so, like I said, and I'm going to talk about this at Blip Block Boom, I got Ella kicked out a couple of times. They never actually kicked her out, but they really wanted to. Her dad always smoothed things over. But I rejected the food at the school. I didn't want her to have to eat the school food. It was shit. I did a ton of study on what it was. She never felt well when she'd come home from school. It took me like 6 months of arguing with them and like meeting with every person, meeting with the head of the cafeteria, Marcella, who was actually wonderful, meeting with the Sister Dunn, who was the head nun, like, and finally they said, well, okay, fine, you don't have to feed her our food, but you still have to pay for the food, but you can send her lunch. It was like, okay. Like I was like the parent that kept saying, wait, I reject the fact that you're making her, whatever it is, this crap that we
Wait,
waste time on.
I've been getting paid $30,000 a month, if not more. Let me show you. Here, I have a check for $775.
they forced feed her, like like if they're like, it's not even that you wanted to change cafeteria menu. It's like they could not even say like, oh, I just eat my own stuff. This was not allowed in the school.
It was not allowed to bring your own lunch until like ever. And the school's been around for 52 years. You could not bring your own lunch
Wow.
until I went through this entire thing. And then Ella would show up with her lunch kit and sit down at the lunch table, and the other kids would be like, "Why are you bringing your own lunch? What happened?" Like she had some illness. And it's like, guys, the food is garbage. Literally garbage. They spend less than $1 a day to feed our kids, and it is shit.
Hmm.
And guess what happened? Then a whole bunch of people started bringing their own lunch. Like, so I would say we all need to think about the kids that we're trying to. Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin is the tool we need for the future. But we've got to empower our kids to think differently. And that starts in second grade, right? Or kindergarten. When they go to school, starts right there. This whole, I mean, I could go on an entire tangent, but like the whole, oh, your kid has to be in the STEM program, science, technology, whatever. That is such a bullshit narrative. Like those classes aren't great. I mean, you've put a fancy label on them. I'm not saying they're terrible, but like, rather than have your kid in a class with a bullshit narrative name, give your kid the ability to take a history class and actually consider what's being taught as, did this really happen? Is this really truth? I mean, teach them that they have the power to think for themselves and they can reject anything that they're told. They can reject it. I don't, that may be true. I'm going to go think about this and do my own work and try and prove to myself that it's true. Because we ask kids to memorize information. We ask kids to accept what we tell them as absolute truth. And then yet we want to have kids who change the world. Those two things don't work. That can't work together. You have to give your kids the power to think differently when they're in kindergarten or first grade, second grade, and repeat the message to them. I value what you think, right? Like, let your kids, I will end with this. I called Ella yesterday. I had been traveling. I got off an airplane. My dad's in the hospital. I went to see my dad. I finally got back to my house and I called Ella and I said, "How are you? What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, I'm good." I said, "Well, how was your day?" And she said, "It was good." I said, "Well, what'd you do?" And she said, "Well, I've been here thinking."
Really cool.
Who says that? Most 20-year-old kids are like, "Oh my God, I'm studying for this. I'm so stressed out. My friend isn't doing this. I had a problem with my car, my la la." And Ella goes, "Oh, I've just been here thinking." I'm like, that is a total win as a parent.
Yeah. There's an absolute win, and then I think this touches on so many aspects now, and I think we will just do in a few months a second round, not go over length here. But I just wanted to add, I think critical thinking, like just sitting down and thinking of the stuff, because we tend to be obsessed with the things we are doing so much that we stopped thinking about the things we are actually doing. If this sentence made sense, but it's like we're doing it, but we're not stopping somewhere. Like, what are we actually doing? And does this make sense? Does the food we eat make sense? Does the money we use make sense? Does the places we go make sense? Are the like, and this is a thing which is amazing to see in the Bitcoin community, because we're now so early that everyone that is in this Bitcoin community had to critical think about money. So naturally, the questions about other things, and this is why homeschooling is so popular also in the Bitcoin community, because they questions not only money, they also question the education system. And yeah, this is an amazing thing to see in the Bitcoin community. And that's why I just love speaking with Bitcoiners. I have this mission to interview 300 Bitcoiners this year. I'm now at 74, so I'm going good. Let's come to an end. Let's have a second round somehow, maybe later this year. And our end routine is where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. I love this so much because others, it's like the blockchain, it connects the guests to each other, and it brings a question in that is not from myself. And it brings in always a question that is like completely random because they don't even know who the next guest is. The person is really passionate right now about MicroStrategy and about the short squeeze that could happen in MicroStrategy stock. And that's why he asked, do you own MicroStrategy stock and why not?
I do own MicroStrategy stock.
Why does Wi-Fi only seem to work in this room?
You need Verizon Home Internet.
How did...
Oh, I let myself in.
So it's a why not? Is there a reason why you own it? Additionally to Bitcoin, do you want to contribute to a potential short squeeze?
No, I don't want to contribute to any short squeeze. I own it because I have an IRA account and I wanted exposure to. I would like to continue with being irresponsibly long Bitcoin. I don't want to own any other equities. I do believe that Bitcoin demonetizes value from all other assets, including, Jim Cramer's favorite, you don't trade Apple, you own Apple forever, BS. Like if you look at the history of the S&P, the top 10 companies within the S&P over the last 50 years, there's very little translation decade to decade. So I bought MicroStrategy in my Roth IRA, as an expression of my adoration for Bitcoin.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you, Lisa, for being on. Thank you for speaking today. It was a pleasure having you. If people have question about you, if people have question about the topics we talked about today, where can people reach you? Where can people ask you questions?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and I'm on LinkedIn. One of my favorite things that I get to do every week is I always offer to speak with folks that are trying to get into Bitcoin, or if you have questions about Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining or anything that I do, I can do to help you contribute to your journey. Please reach out. I do book a few of these kind of 15-minute sessions with folks. If you reach out, I will schedule a 15-minute session with you. It's really my greatest privilege to hear what other people are working on.
Really cool. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks.